Scotch, Lydecker?
Excellent.
Will this do? It's black pony.
I'm a guest here. It'll have to do.
Here's the ice and the glasses.
You can skip mine, Lieutenant. I'm not much of a daytime drinker.
Oh? Well, that'll be all, Bessie. You can go home now.
But Yes, sir. I'll go.
Thank you.
I remember when Laura bought these glasses. She loved them. She loved all her things so.
What are you going to do, sell them?
I suppose so, if I'm appointed administrator. I'll probably call in Corey.
Corey, the art dealer?
Yes, he can dispose of everything. It'll be less gruesome that way.
Not quite everything, Anne. There are 2 or 3 things that belong to me. That vase, for instance, the antique fire screen, and, of course, the clock.
That's quite a hunk of clock. You've got one just like it, haven't you? I noticed it in your apartment.
They were made 200 years ago by Corbet Fils. 2 clocks exactly the same, created at the order of the Prince of Wales. I lent one to Laura.
Oh, really, Paul?
Yes, really, but the vase is the gem of my collection, and I intend to have it back. I can take it with me now.
Nothing's leaving here, Lydecker. Only you.
Oh, is that your quaint way of indicating dismissal?
Well, we're all leaving. I've got to get back to headquarters.
But I don't understand, Lieutenant. I thought you sent for me.
I did.
Well, don't you want to ask me any questions?
Nothing pressing.
Oh, I see.
Well, I bid you goodbye.
The vase, Mr. Lydecker. Put it down.
The what? Oh, of course. Just a slight touch of kleptomania.
Crane?
Yeah?
McPherson, I'm back. Upstairs in our apartment. How you doing in the basement? Any calls come in this afternoon?
Not a thing.
I've just been looking the place over. I've only done it 40 times.
Anything interesting?
Everything's interesting. Especially that portrait.
A really beautiful doll, Lieutenant.
Yeah. I've read her letters, smelled her perfume, drank her scotch, gone through her wardrobe. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Someone in the hall. Look, it's 7 o'clock. Alfred will be along to relieve you. Make sure Alfred keeps his ear on that phone.
Right.
Who is it?
Yes.
Coming, Lydecker. You just happened to be passing by.
And I noticed the lights on. By the way, have you sublet this apartment, McPherson? You're here often enough to pay rent.
Any objections?
Yes. Especially to your prying into Laura's letters. That bundle in your pocket, for instance.
No, these. They're yours. The best of the bunch. That's the trouble with getting murdered, Lydecker. It ruins your privacy.
And have detectives who buy portraits of murdered victims a claim to privacy? Lancaster Corey tells me you already put in a bid for Laura's portrait.
That's none of your business.
McPherson, did it ever strike you that you're acting very strangely? It's a wonder that you don't come here with roses and a box of drugstore candy. Have you been dreaming of Laura as your wife? By your side at the policeman's ball or in the bleachers? Or listening to the heroic saga of how you acquired a silver shin bone in a gun battle with a gangster? Yeah, I see you have.
Why don't you go home? I'm busy.
Well, perhaps we can come to terms now, huh? You want her portrait? Perfectly understandable. I want my possessions, my vase, my clock, my fire screen. Now, if you
Get going.
You'd better watch out, Lieutenant. You'll end up in the psychiatric ward. I don't think they've ever had a patient who fell in love with a beautiful girl who died before he met her. Or did you meet her? Well, good night, McPherson.
Roses and a box of drugstore candy. Have you been dreaming of Laura as your wife? Yes, I can see you have. You better watch out, Lieutenant. You'll wind up in the psychiatric ward. I don't think that they ever...
What's the matter with me? Maybe you can tell me. You, the girl in that portrait there. You're beautiful. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Somebody killed you. Why? Why? I could sit here and look at you all night. All night long I could sit and...
Who is it? Who's in there?
You.
What are you doing there?
You're alive.
If you don't get out once, I'll call the police.
You're Laura Hunt, aren't you? Aren't you?
I'm going to call the police.
But I am the police, you see. My badge, credentials, Mark McPherson.
What's all this about?
You don't know? Don't you know what's happened?
No.
Haven't you seen a paper? Where have you been?
In the country. I don't get a newspaper.
Haven't you got a radio?
It was broken. What?
Here. Look at these headlines. Sit down, Miss Hunt. I'm very glad to see you. On Friday night, somebody was murdered in this room.
What did you say?
Until you opened that door just now, we thought it was you. Now, do you have any idea who it could have been?
You don't know.
A girl died from shotgun wounds, close range. No, apparently we don't know. Key to this apartment.
Nobody except my maid. And when did you say it happened?
Friday night. You'd better take off that coat. It's dripping wet. When did it start raining?
Just a few minutes ago. It's teeming outside.
It was raining Friday night, too. When that girl... Wait a minute. Raining. Now, come with me, Miss Hunt. Here, into your room. I want you to please look in your closet.
I simply don't
The closet, Miss Hunt. Here, open it up. Do all these dresses belong to you?
Certainly they belong to me.
All of them? Every one?
Are you out of your mind? Of course they... What's this one?
I don't know. You tell me.
Why, this dress isn't mine. It's hers. Diana Redfern's. She had it on when she came for lunch on Friday.
Well...
But this dress wasn't in here when I left. It wasn't.
This Redfern girl... Is she a girl about your size?
Yes, she's a model. She works for us.
Yes, and she lives in Newark, but she hasn't been home. Her landlady said she'd gone to Philadelphia.
That's right. We have a branch office in Philadelphia. She had an assignment there, but she didn't go. It was postponed.
She got relatives in the city?
An aunt and uncle, the same name. They live in the village.
Thanks.
Where are you going?
Just to the telephone, Miss Hunt. I think Miss Redfern's aunt and uncle had better go to the morgue right away to make an identification. Right. So long, Inspector. Well, that's that, Miss Hunt.
They've located the Redferns.
Yes, we ought to know soon. Now, Miss Hunt, when you went to the country Friday, did you see anyone you knew on the train?
No.
Then what?
I got off at Norwalk. I keep a car in a private garage near the station. I drove to my house. It's about 18 miles.
What did you do in the country?
Worked in my garden.
Didn't leave your place in all that time?
I keep everything I need in the house. I went there expressly to be alone.
Mm-hmm. You were going to marry Shelby Carpenter this week.
Yes.
But you went away for a long weekend to be alone. You know Shelby Carpenter has a key to this apartment. Why didn't you tell me?
Because I know nothing of the sort. He hasn't.
How else did the Redfern girl get into the apartment? You knew she was in love with Carpenter.
I knew she was in love with him. She told me so herself. But I also know that she meant nothing to Shelby. I understand him better than you do.
She was found, and I'm convinced now it was Miss Redfern. She was found in your dressing gown.
What of it? You yourself told me it was raining Friday night. You yourself just saw her dress. It's full of wrinkles and rain spots.
Well, how did she get in here? Why? Who brought her here?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Now, look, Miss Hunt, do you love this Carpenter fellow so much you'd risk your own safety to protect him? He must have brought her here.
You suspect me. You think I killed somebody in jealousy.
I'm trying to get at the truth. I'm sorry. Strictly routine. Well, I'll see you in the morning, Miss Hunt. Meanwhile, don't leave this apartment and don't use the telephone.
But I've got to use it. I've got to let my friends know I'm alive.
I'm sorry, but I must insist. If anything should happen to you now, I wouldn't like it.
All right, I promise.
There's one more thing. I know that you went away to make up your mind whether you'd marry Shelby Carpenter or not. What did you decide?
I decided not to marry him.
Well, I'll be seeing you in the morning, Miss Hunt. Good night.
Good night.
Alford?
That you, Mark?
Yeah.
Watch your step. It's pretty dark down here.
Anything come through those earphones?
Yeah, the morgue just called. Is the Redfern girl all right?
Well, it kind of balls things up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Say, you seem pretty... Hey, wait a minute. She's dialing a number up there.
Give me those earphones.
Yeah.
Hello?
Shelby, this is Laura.
Laura?
I must tell you...
Don't say anything on the telephone. Meet me right away in front of the office. Can you leave?
Right away.
Was that...
Yeah. Dames are always pulling a switch on you. You stay here, Alford. McCavity out front?
Yeah.
Get headquarters. Tell them to send another man down here right away. McCavity's going to tail the girl.
What about you?
I think I'll stick by Mr. Carpenter. I'll see you.
We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
For 3 hours, Detective Lieutenant McPherson's been following Shelby Carpenter. Now in the black hours of night, he stops his car near a lonely house 18 miles from Norwalk and makes his way carefully toward the front door. It's not quite shut. He peers through the crack for a moment and then walks in.
What are you doing with that shotgun, Carpenter?
Well, I must admit this is somewhat embarrassing, Lieutenant.
Let me see that gun. been fired recently.
Yes, I killed some rabbits with it.
When?
Oh, a while back. I don't know exactly. I gave the gun to Laura for protection.
You haven't borrowed it lately. You didn't just bring it back.
You ought to know. You've been following me.
You realize the spot you're in? You brought Diana Redfern to Laura's apartment. You knew all along it was she who was murdered. Didn't you know Laura would come back any day and spill the whole thing? Or did you plan to kill her, too?
Oh, you're being fantastic, McPherson.
You took a bottle of Black Pony to her house Friday night.
I took it there over a week ago.
Bessie says Friday night.
I can't help what Bessie says.
Where's the key to Laura's apartment?
I haven't got one. I never had one.
Okay, you didn't bring the Scotch there Friday night and you never had a key. How did you get in?
Well,
Come on, talk.
Talk? Oh, all right.